Hey y'all, how is it going? Say hey to Kimmy. She's over there today. Hair is crazy today. Finally, my braids out. Um, letting my hair free. It's like the first time they've been in it for a while now. So just letting my head like relax. Like it's my first time to let my hair grow, and it's like such an interesting experience. Let me just do the sound check, and then there's also basically, let's see. Yeah, perfect. My laundry. Yeah, the laundry just came. So let me turn that on. Okay, guys. So I had to take a little quick break to put the laundry on the rinse cycle. So that just beeped as soon as I sat down for that. So, guys, welcome back. The sound check is going good. Let me just plug up my phone. I hope you guys are having a nice weekend. I'm doing pretty well today. I'm realizing that I have a lot more energy ever since I cut off all these shitty people in my life. Uh, I think coming to terms with the fact of how bad and toxic my family is in terms of, having those people around me and in my life is more of a drag as opposed to building me up. Like it's literally draining my soul to have my family in my life. And I've realized that most of the people that I've attracted to my life are also just soul draining, soul destroying type people. I had to cut off 2 other friends recently. Maybe they're one of the 3 people watching now because they like to be on that covert mode because they have nothing else better to do with their life. It's really sad, but that's what happens when you grow up with shitty parents. You attract shitty friends who are just as pathetic. But there is hope because as soon as you come back to yourself and you recognize, wow, these friends around me are just as shitty as my parents. They're just as condescending, as insulting, and trying to do one-upmanship, or desperate to do anything to make themselves feel better because they actually have no self-esteem at all. Not even low self-esteem, like zero self-esteem. And so they spend all this time with their insecure ass trying to, bully, project, and put you down so they can feel better about their lives, which are going nowhere. So, you don't need to be around people like that. People who have nothing else better to do with their life but to try to drag someone else down or to try to steal to someone or to try to insult someone. It's like those kind of people are so pathetic. They are so pathetic that they don't deserve to be in your life. Okay. And so once you get all of that shit out, you're going to have so much more energy coming back to you. Your thoughts are going to be more positive. Like, you're just going to have like more, a better vibration shit because you're not listening to all these toxic people, putting all these subconscious messages in your head. Meanwhile, their lives are pathetic as fuck. So, anyways, we're going to go to the Book of Changes as always. And in case you're unfamiliar with this is an ancient Chinese book of divination. And it kind of is the Western version of the tarot cards in a way because it's giving you guidance, insight by connecting with the universe. You have to start off with 3 coins as always, and you're going to create a hexagram. In the first 2 videos, you will see how I explained exactly how this is happening. Ooh, excuse me. So we start from the bottom. All the heads, you multiply times 2. The tails times 3. We have our first line. We have our first 9, which is also the first line. And every 9 and 6 is a changing line. So let me just go back here. Yes. So if the number is odd, you put a solid line with no gap in between. So I'll show you the first one now. So we had 3 heads. So 3 times 3 is 9. So we have the first shells there. That's the first one. Now we're going to the second. Again, we're always starting from the bottom and then going up. Let's go. 2 tails. So 2 times 2 and 1 times 3. 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. So this one is an odd number, so also a solid line. And the third one. 7 again. So just a solid line. Okay, I think this is going to be a new one, guys. I don't think we've had 3 solid, or at least it's been a while. Again, 7. I'm getting pretty good now. I can do this like on a site. I mean, the math is not that difficult, but I really enjoyed this book. I found it from a suggestion in Carl Jung. Oh, we have another changing line, guys. 3 times 2 is 6. So we have 2 changing lines today. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an even number. Yeah, so there's a gap. Let me see. I don't even need to correct this, but I like to have everything, looking normal. Okay, and then we're gonna have one more. Let's see. What do we have now? 2 tails. And 1 times 2. 6, 7, 8. And that is even, so we have a gap. So we have our hexagram, guys. Those 6 lines here, I think this is going to be a new one. So now let's look up in the table. I don't know if you guys can hear that laundry. It's making a lot of noise. Hopefully not. Let's see, what time is it now? Do I have time to thinking to wash my sheets again? Maybe, I don't know. So let's find out which hexagram we have. We're basically going to use those 3 trigrams to then look up on this chart. As always, I show you to see which one we need to read. And so the bottom trigram is 3 solid lines. So 3 solid lines is Chin. So the first one here, 3 solid lines. And then the top trigram is the first 2 lines have a gap, and then the bottom is second. So that means we're going to be reading hexagram 34. I think that is. Hope you guys can see that. Yeah, it's 34. And then you can see here by the hexagram that I drew. Where is it at? Yeah. So we're reading hexagram 34. Qian means heaven, and Chen means thunder. So now go to hexagram 34. I'm pretty sure I've read this before. In the podcast earlier when I first started. Yeah. The page is folded. That's how you know I read it. Okay. So this is hexagram 34. Again, if you go to the page, the book, again, you can find this in the public domain. You don't even have to buy this book because this book is ancient. You'll see the hexagram matches. That's how you know you have the right one. And then because we have a 6 and a 9 on the first and fifth changing lines, so then we're going to read this hexagram 34 and then the changing lines number 1 and 5. So this one is called Ta Chung. I don't know Chinese, so pardon the pronunciation. The power of the great. To achieve true power and true greatness, one must be in harmony with what is right. False power and false greatness can be seen all around us in the world. Through egotistical and aggressive manipulation, many people attain a temporary position of influence. The I Ching teaches us a different way of acquiring and using power, one that leads to true greatness and enduring influence. The way of the sage unites power with modesty, justice, gentleness, and equanimity. Hexagram Ta Trung indicates that you have increased your power now. Start over with that. Hexagram Ta Trung indicates that you have increased your power now by purifying your thoughts and actions. Through contemplation of higher principles, you have begun to open doors for yourself. Through alignment with what is true and good, you gain insight into situations and the power to resolve them in your favor. But it's important to remember that it is the sage who is the source of your strength. If your ego takes over and wields the power that is at hand, the ensuing misfortune will be great. The I Ching counsels us not to misuse our strength by judging, condemning, punishing, manipulating, or dismissing others. It advises reticence in speech and action. More often than not, the truly superior person relies on stillness and non-action, allowing inner truth to penetrate gently to the heart of difficulties. The I Ching also cautions us to wait patiently for the appropriate time for speech or action. Power can make us eager, but eagerness unbalances and leads us into trouble. By listening carefully and patiently, and by listening carefully and patiently to the sage, we know when to move ahead, when to wait, and when to retreat. In the end, true greatness comes only to those in whom strength and proper principles are firmly united. I'll read that one more time. In the end, true strength and greatness comes only to those in whom strength and proper principles are firmly united. If you follow the sage and persevere steadfastly in what is correct, you will inherit the power of the great. Okay, I like that. Also, here is, again, in case you guys want to take a screenshot for later, if you're reading this, you can read it on your own. And then the second page. So now we still have to read up. Wait, that's the wrong page. This is the second page here, in case you want to read it on your own later. And now basically we have to read the changing lines, because in our diagram, we have a 6 and a 9 on the first and the fifth line. So you're, counting from the bottom up. So 1 through 6. So the first line, your power is being directed by your ego now. Detach, disengage, and restore equanimity, or there will be humiliation. And 5, one who gives up a stubborn and harsh way of acting will not regret it. No harm comes if you soften now. Okay, that's a good one. I like this reading also too. I feel that it applies to what I've been experiencing these past few weeks in terms of my learning how to surrender to this higher power, to this higher energy source, to the universe, connecting with the universal wisdom, the knowledge, the guidance that is there, and being less dependent on myself. And I think this is something that's very human. Many people struggle with this and are struggling or have struggled with this. And the challenge becomes so I think the most important thing for me that I'm taking from this is, again, a reflection that there is some truth coming here that gives me confidence in some alignment or reflection of these universal energies. Because again, this one and the last one both apply directly to the issues that I am facing in the current day, in the current hour. And so it seems really appropriate and really fitting for this reading. It reminds me to step back into acceptance and surrender. Again, thinking about the Chinese finger trap. So when you're like fighting something, not accepting what is, like resisting, it's kind of just relax, and that principle is something that carries over in many areas of life. I was trying to put the coins back and I missed. I don't know where to maybe on the floor. Anyway, I can fix this later, but the whole point is that, when you are in a lot of fear, your ego is going to take over because it's looking for some kind of way to control and give you more comfort. And it's difficult to accept sometimes that the best thing you can do is really to relax and to allow yourself to trust the universal wisdom. I think maybe a few days ago I was explaining, what does that really look like? What does that feel like in the practical in life? And so if you are, not sufficiently parented, for example, then you might have been missing a lot of skill development. And if you're missing those skills, you can go out in the world and you'll have fear. Like, what is a good one? I don't know, some basic life skills like standing up for yourself or something like this, for example. And so when people are coming at you to aggress you, to attack you or something, and you were not taught or shown or modeled how to stand up for yourself and do that in an appropriate and effective way, communication skills. And what this is saying, or this idea, because you can stay stuck in that. Oh, I don't know. I didn't get the skills. I don't know. People can tell. So I'm like in a losing position. And then it just goes in a circle and you can just spiral. But when you surrender, and this is you getting stuck in ego, because ego is fearing pain, defeat, all of these things. So you get stuck in this spiral. But once you realize that there are universal energies that exist in the universe that we're able to connect to gain the inherent knowledge, right? So this is like the universe speaking to you to give you universal wisdom, universal truth that exists, Um, and we can be confident that this exists because of the work of, for example, starting with Marie Louise von Franz and Carl Jung, their work on going back to fairy tales. Like, how did these stories from across multiple continents, countries, before they had any method or capability to connect with each other, they still told the same lessons, the same stories over and over. So it shows us that there is some kind of commonality for humanity, right? This is one piece of evidence, but there are many. Um, and this matters because when we let go of the ego and realize also, as the Kabbalion said at the end of chapter 5, that rest assured that there is no one who is motherless or fatherless in the universe, who are protected by the all-seeing Father Mother mind. This connecting with this intuitive intelligence is a priori knowledge, knowledge that exists before any instruction or outside input. It's just like a natural knowing, um, such as like how to eat. Like when we come out of the womb, like I don't have babies like this, but a baby, he has like a natural inclination to put something to his mouth, when he is having that feeling of hunger. Now, of course, you have to make sure they get the right kind of food and they cut it and all of these things, but it's an innate knowledge that you don't have to teach the baby, they're automatically going to put, to their mouth. And so there are certain pieces of knowledge, and if you want to get into esoterics, there are people that take this to another level, such as that Sophia shamanism. So I've been sharing some of his shorts, also some of his videos in the YouTube shorts on my channel. And he talks even about how, from a magical perspective or occult perspective, you can even use these kind of energies to connect with, the angels or the demons or other kind of entities, astrological entities or spiritual entities that can actually give you a knowledge, and this is going into like a really deep topic. Like, I'm not so much personally into that, but I've been exploring it as I came across this idea from the Kabbalion, the rest assured and in peace to trust the mother father mind, the universal mind. And then so I came across this shamanism thing, who is talking about how there are different spiritual energies, such as, I don't know if you are familiar with Lilith, or for example, the Megatron. When I heard that name, I was like, what the fuck, Megatron? It's like a co what do you call these people? Not corollary. It's a peer of Satan or something like this. And so these different kind of people, and when we hear that, because of our institutionalized religion, these things have been bastardized. So when people hear Satan or Lucifer, they think something evil because church has taught you to fear that, or to not believe in it if you're an atheist, or to think that it's evil, you don't want to touch it. But Lucifer literally means light bringer, you know, and on this physical plane, this is an energy that you can use to regain access to yourself, to your full original power. Like, literally, Lucifer, light bringer, is bringing you back to your original, full, empowered expression of yourself. And again, I'm not going to go more into that, but you can check out his channel by checking out the shorts. It's like Sophia shamanism. It's really interesting ideas. I'm still exploring about that. But it's not really mainstream information, but I might share on that later at some point. But I'm interested in finding, where are the commonalities. At least I know from the Kabbalion, and that I can rest easy and be assured that there's a universal mother father mind that can feed me the information, skills, knowledge, and insights that was missing. It's almost like the same as meditation, coming back to your true self, that being at peace. Like, when your mind is at that theta wave state or the lower wave states, you're able to access different informations, different downloads, different experiences. And these things are teachers, um, something that's really crazy. I mean, and again, not um, encouraging that by any stretch of the imagination, because it's actually completely disgusting. But the things that are happening now, with the files. Um, I'm not even going to put a name, but the reason why these people do something like this, and this kind of like satanic energy, or spiritual, it's like literally energetic theft. You know, they have this belief that when you do a certain action, and your body has like a certain response. Like, if you cause something pain, then you have like physiological response to that action that you just did. This is like accessing the energies. And then they meditate and they think, they do these kind of like meditations, visualizations of that experience, releasing those chemicals in their body. Like that's why people do this sick stuff, you know? And so like that's an evil way to that people use it, but there are also good ways that people use it, in terms of like gaining access to your sexual energy in a more natural and grounded way if you've been through assault or something like that. Like, it's something to that because people do these rituals, training their body to experience certain emotions, meditating on it, then when they're doing the meditation and visualization, bringing all of the chemicals into their body when they did that act. And so, like, that's why people do this evil shit. I mean, even narcissists, it's also the same thing at a smaller scale, And so, basically, what I'm trying to say is like all of this magic, magic is just working with the subconscious mind. Anything that you do to impact or influence your subconscious mind or the subconscious mind of many people at once is magic. So this can be hypnosis, NLP, just like rote repetition. There are so many different ways, that you can influence your own or other people's subconscious mind. And that is magic. And even physics and neurobiology explain how this works in a scientific way now, because now we have the medical science to explain what exactly is happening in someone's mind and body. They can do brain scans, they can take biomarkers after you do some certain action, for example, like they do in those files. And then they meditate, and this is bringing something back up to you. So when they talk about changing yourself, getting into your new identity, this is what it means, because you have to think and feel in a different way. And that's why it's so important to visualize and to meditate and to think about these things over and over and over again in a good way, because you can use this same kind of logic for anything you're trying to improve. If you want to, actually, a lot of professional athletes do this. If you ever heard of that book called The Alter Ego Effect, it's kind of the same thing. You're behaving in a way. So you think about somebody like, I really hate this example, but Beyonce, right? So she is kind of like a shy, awkward, church girl from Texas kind of situation. So she made this alter ego called Sasha Fierce. So then when she's on the stage, all those people during the performance, then, that's giving her body like all of these different chemicals, based on, anybody would have the same thing based on what you're doing, but the intensity of it with so many people, and so that helps you to ingrain it and start to embody it more deeply, is when you have those corrective experiences that show your body a different reality. And so, like, that's a very long tangent that I went on today from this reading, talking about the power of the great. But I guess I went on this tangent because I wanted to help you see how can you really learn to trust the power of the sage, because I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. Many people, myself included, get stuck to ego. So you're like clinging, trying to control. So one of the things that I've been doing for myself is how can I teach and allow my inner child to trust? How can I support my inner child to trust a higher power, that this universal mother father mind exists? And so I've been looking for ways to understand it, a reason to understand it, a justification, for why it works or why I should believe it, and that's what I'm doing now. So I do feel that I'm much more aligned than I have ever been. I think I've always been quite an aligned person with a higher power, because I've always had that kind of like intuitive connection. Oh, I just knew. And now I'm learning so much more. And so thanks for being here today. And I'll see you guys again for the next reading. Take care. Cheers.